Recently, some of you have been asking why I call my youngest daughter Waffle. Is it because I'm terrible at naming children? No. It's actually because you're terrible at naming children. I mean, not you personally, at least I can't prove it was you personally, but it was some of you. In fact, it was a lot of you. You see, back in 2015, my wife was pregnant with our fourth child. And I did the obvious thing, and I decided to let Twitter name my baby. Now, I couldn't let you actually give her her legal name. My wife had some issues with that, but I thought, hey, I use fake names for all my kids anyway. Why not let Twitter handle this? They'll obviously, make the responsible choice and treat this with the seriousness and gravitas which it deserves. Obviously that was not going to happen at any level. Like, I knew this was going to be a train wreck going in. I was 100% sure of it, and that's pretty much why I did it. I thought, let's turn this over to the masses and see what happens. So to make sure this happened in the most ridiculous way possible, I set up NCAA brackets for it. This was right after Twitter polls had come out. I think it was, my daughter was born in 2015. I looked back to try to find the poll, and I think it ran in October 2015, right before she was born. It's possible it happened earlier. I don't know. Records from back then are sketchy at best. I'm not even sure 2015 happened. Who knows? So anyway, let's go through that bracket to see what my daughter could have been called, because let's face it, it could have been worse. It could have been a whole lot worse. Let me pull this up here. I mean, look at these options, I say as I struggle to find the options. Okay, so here's the first bracket. And again, we've got a mix of some great names and some not so great names and some just names, I guess. The first bracket up here, Division 1, Jill versus RoboCop. That was pretty easy breakdown. I knew how that was going to go. RoboCop, a solid name. I don't know anybody bad with the name RoboCop. Jill, I've known a few questionable Jills in my life, so yeah. Elsa and Optimus Prime, that actually was a real one that came up in real life. My daughters, when naming the baby, they actually debated back and forth between Elsa and Optimus Prime. I believe my now 5-year-old was the one who suggested Optimus Prime, and it was a personal front runner of mine. It might have made it to round 2 or 3, but it was not going to carry through. Then you get down here into some of the ones I came up with. Anonymous, that's a pretty great name. Obi-Wan, I've known somebody in real life with that name. So clearly people are worse at naming things than me. Raptor, the tiny, small, realistic ones versus the Raptor, the big Jurassic Park ones that aren't even real, except in movies where, it's pretty much real life anyway. That's a tough competition. If we were going to do that, I would have to shout Raptor because, it's in all caps. So clearly, those were good choices too. A QR code for a website or a winky face emoji, I mean, that's a tough call. That's Sophie's choice right there. Ankle versus Angel, another tough one. That came down to the wire. Heaven versus Lothar, Destroyer of Souls. Both are pretty good Christian names. Susan versus naming rights yet to be traded for future draft picks. I mean, that's just pure profit right there. I was kind of hoping Twitter would go that way, but they did not. All right, let's take a look at Division 2 here, because things get tougher. Okay, Megan versus Peyton Manning. Megan is a name. Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback of all time. And you can throw out all kinds of other names of quarterbacks, but let's face it. Peyton Manning went to his second football team. His arm no longer worked. They rolled him out there in a wheelchair and just through sheer mental fortitude won that Super Bowl. Some way, somehow. Don't mess with me with your stats. Peyton Manning all the way. Not a great girl's name, though. It was voted down. Pancake versus Waffle. Here's the crazy thing. So these are, compared to some of the other choices out here, these are pretty tame. But when the votes came through, Pancake and Waffle, if I'm recalling correctly, which again, I'm probably not, I believe they were tied 50-50, so I just picked one because I figured it wasn't going to matter. And also, I don't really like pancakes. Maybe that's because, I don't know, maybe I'm a communist, maybe I'm a monster, I don't know. I've never been a fan of pancakes, so I thought, we'll lean towards Waffle, see what happens. Turns out it won the whole freaking tournament, so there you have it. My random toss-up determined everything. It could have been Pancake that ran the tables. Maybe I inadvertently put the best 2 seeds next to each other, and I didn't even know it. Who knew breakfast foods would conquer the world? Well, now you know. I've just told you. All right, going down here. Hey, you. I call my kids that all the time anyway. Tax deduction number 4. That's just accurate. That hits a little bit too close to home. Beth versus the reason I can't play Xbox tonight. You know, I play Xbox no matter how many kids I have in the house, even if they're sleeping on top of me. With my oldest kid, we were in that stage with, oh my gosh, when she was first born, it's like she's going to die if we let her sleep in the crib through the night. So I actually stayed up all night playing Xbox and just let her sleep on top of me. It was a pretty great week. That was paternity leave well spent. Never repeated that again because after a while you just kind of stop worrying about kids. You're like, they'll probably be fine. And if not, well, we'll have another awesome naming tournament for the next one. Kelly versus Unintended Consequences. Nobody picked the regular girl names. I kind of saw that coming. Twitter has better taste than that. Melinda versus Smog. Smog would have been one I would have been fine with. That could have run the table, but its life was short-lived. Cassandra versus a really fancy ampersand. Those ampersands, like not just the one you draw where it's a straight line up and over like you're making the sign of the cross, but like the really fancy ones that are all twirly. I mean, I can't even try. Look at me flailing my finger randomly. I don't even know what I'm drawing there. All right, we've got Robin versus child sold to pay for college for the other three. You know what? People frown on selling children. It is what it is this day and age. You can't fetch fair market price for them anymore. All right, Division 3, Julie versus Khan. I actually wrote that joke before I had seen that particular Star Trek movie. I saw the movie and it held up, so I lucked out there. Penny versus Darth Vader. Actually, I still use Penny sometimes. If a respectable publication asks what my kids' names are and I give them the fake names, sometimes Waffle's just a little bit too fake. That might trip some alarm bells. So in those cases, I default to Penny. So if you ever turn up a search for me and it says I have a kid named Penny, I don't have a mystery fifth kid. I just have a secondary fake name for the other kid because my life is one lie layered with many, many, many other lies. Angela versus small humanoid expelled from my wife's vagina. Yeah, the wife was not going to sign off on that one. Also, this was back in the days of 140 characters for Twitter. That was going to burn pretty much all my characters for every tweet. So thank you for voting that one down. Olive versus pepperoni. You can tell I was hungry when I made some of these options. Joan versus Eye of the Tiger. The full song, not just the title. That's important. Like every time you'd say her name, you'd have to sing the whole song. That's a name of power, so I'm a little disappointed Twitter didn't pick that one, but it is what it is. We've got Hope versus Iron Man. Iron Man would have been a good one, other than the fact that she wasn't made of iron and wasn't a man, but other than that, very accurate name. Felicity versus literally a long pregnant pause. Like every time I have paused during this video, I'm not actually pausing. I'm actually saying that name silently, regretting that it wasn't picked. But alas, Twitter had other plans. And Molly versus a voodoo hex that kills anyone who says it out loud. I would say that one out loud, but then my video viewership would not do so well. So we're going to refrain from mentioning that one. All right, on to the final division here. This is the last of the also-rans. We've got Heidi versus Slimer from Ghostbusters. I don't know why I had to specify that. Was there some other Slimer I was worried about? Like, not the Slimer from Good Will Hunting, not the Slimer from The Notebook, the Slimer from Ghostbusters. But either way, didn't go far. Sasha versus Gluten. Aren't we all battling gluten deep down? Hulk Hogan versus the Incredible Hulk. Hulk versus Hulk. Man, that was a showdown I probably set up a little bit too early, but I don't even remember which one won. And mind you, I have all the other charts out to trace it down, but I'm not going to pull it up. And let's see here. We've got Alex versus a really long drum solo. That a really long drum solo could have given Eye of a Tiger for a run for its money, both in awesomeness and inconvenience. Teresa versus Tiny Death Ninja. Tiny Death Ninja would have been pretty badass. Would have taken care of dating concerns later in life. I'm a little sad that one wasn't picked. We've got Jennifer versus Mind Your Own Business. Oh, and a swear word. This is back when I swore. Oh man, those were glorious days on Twitter. Back before I had 1 million followers and standards, man, anything went back then. If you can scroll back that far on my tweets, I encourage you to do so, and then unfollow me because you will think so much less of me. Thankfully, Twitter usually cuts you off before you get back to that point. Morgan versus an actual high five. That would have been hard to write, but awesome to live out. Eliza versus I lost a bet. I've lost so many bets. I blame pretty much all my poor life decisions on losing bets, at least before Twitter, and now I just blame all my poor choices on you guys. All right, so just so we hear, I'm going to skip to the end of the tournament. These were the final four. Wow, I am surprised. We've got Lothar, Destroyer of Souls. That one made it a long way. That must have been a weak division. We've got Waffle in there, powering through. We've got Eye of the Tiger, the full song, and an actual high five. Those are like polar opposites. One quick sound and act versus an entire song. But really, let's be honest, Waffle was the best of it. After I saved it from its dead heat with Pancake, Waffle was destined for greatness. And that alone is why I now call my fourth child Waffle on the internet. And it's bleeding over to real life. There are times where she thinks her real name is Waffle. Maybe her real name is Waffle. Who am I to say? I don't remember what I put on the birth certificate. And most importantly, I didn't let my wife see it after I filled it out. So who knows? Maybe she really is Waffle. She is not. Anyway, thanks for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button for more mysteries you didn't care about, but I will solve them anyway, because that is what I do. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Behind the Tweets.